So Jake wants to know, Walter's World, how can I fit travel into my busy work schedule? Well, I'll be honest with you, it is tough to fit in lots of travel if you do have a busy work schedule, but there are some things you can do, and a lot of it has to deal with planning, okay? Planning farther out, because if you have a lot of work and you have a busy job, it's hard to take spontaneous trips because most of the time you're working. But if you give yourself enough time ahead to kind of plan things out and get your work done beforehand and okay it with your boss, that can make things a lot easier, okay? But some kind of basic little things you can do is make a long weekend a destination weekend. You know, if you're gonna have Monday off because it's Labor Day or Memorial Day, pay the money and go fly Friday night right after work. Go to the airport and go fly someplace, because you'll be surprised where you can get to on an overnight flight or a red-eye flight, you know, an evening flight out of Chicago, out of New York, out of LA. You can get down to Costa Rica for the weekend. You can, I mean, I know people that would fly over to Ireland or come here to England because, oh, I live on the East Coast. It's only like a 6-hour flight over, and that's like the same distance to go to LA. So you can do that. So plan more long 3-day weekends or add an extra day on and take an extra day off, you know, a vacation to make it a 5-day weekend instead of a 3 or 4-day weekend. That can really give you a better chance to see more and go a little bit farther when you do travel, when you have work. Now, the next thing you can look at is a hybrid work schedule, okay? Because you've noticed the last few years, a lot of people have been working from home. And the thing is, a lot of companies want people to come back to the office, but a lot of people want to stay back home. So I think what you're going to see is a lot of companies are going to do some kind of hybrid option where you need to spend, you know, maybe 3 or 4 days a week in the office, and then you can have 1 or 2 days at home during the week. Use those days to make a new 3 or 4 or 5-day weekend. And so when you're gone, you can travel, but of course take your computer, have all that there and schedule it in your trip that you can actually have work time when you're there. Or if your business is like, look, you have to be in the office 15 days a month. Well, maybe what you do is the first 3 weeks of the week, or the first 3 weeks of the month, you're in the office. So you get your 15 days out of the way, and then you have, oh, I have all 5 days left to work from home. I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna go to Mexico, or I'm gonna come here to Europe. I mean, that's one of those things. If you look at the time changes, I've been spending all day enjoying Liverpool. But the thing is, it's only starting to work time right now in the US, and so I could have a great day of seeing the sights, and then I get my work day in when I'm there. Yes, you get less sleep, but you can kind of combine things. Now, another thing you might want to look at is actually if you have to travel from work, see if your work is okay if you stay an extra day on either end. Now, you would have to pay for your hotel and your food and stuff for that extra day on the beginning or end of your trip, but sometimes they're okay with that. And so you get your flight, a little extra day here, a little extra day there, and that gives you some time to enjoy the city that you're staying in for work. Because a lot of times, if your company sends you to go work in a different city, you're up at 6 a.m. and you go to work until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and you never get to enjoy the city. You don't get to do the magical mystery tour here in Liverpool. You're just sitting in the office doing the work, and then you go back to your hotel and get some scouse, you know, the meat stew here, and that's all you got time for. But giving yourself that extra day can really help. You know, another thing I think is important is when you're looking to travel, when you have a busy job or when you're working, is you need to be very judicious with your days off. You have your personal time off, PTO. And yes, the one thing I did say is, you know, add a day on to those 3-day weekends to make them longer and do things. But also you need to think about what you need to do with your PTO. Because sometimes, hey, I need to go see my mom, right? Maybe what you do, instead of going to seeing your mom or your dad on a weekend, say, hey, mom and dad, could we meet in New York? Could we meet in Chicago? Could we meet in Mexico City? And so then you can have an adventure with your parents, and maybe they'll pay for it too, but then you get to go someplace, and then you kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, so you don't have to use your vacation time to go back home to go see your hometown. No, you saw your parents on the Riviera Maya. It's fine. So you could think about things like that. Also, I know I talked about seeing your family, but also think about your friends. Because if your friends are in the age of getting married, a lot of them want to do a destination wedding, or it might just be a destination to you because you got to go to their hometown, and that might take up some of your vacation time. You know, the bachelorette party, the bachelor party, these kind of things. And it might be a money thing, but also a time thing, because if I have to go for a wedding, so I'm going to be in the wedding on Friday, so I got to leave on Thursday, so maybe I got to take off work Thursday and Friday. Man, that's 2 of my 10 days or 15 days of work. And then, the bachelor party the week before, I got to take another day. There's 3, and all of a sudden, I'm at 30% of my first 10 days off. I mean, I got to be careful with this. What I recommend to people is, you know what? Just send people a gift for their wedding, like a nice monetary gift. Because here's the thing, I've been married for quite some time now. I don't remember who was at my wedding. I don't remember who didn't come to my wedding, but I do remember who gave us nice gifts. And your friends will remember that, yeah, you weren't there, but you know what? You did give us that money to get us started. And honestly, giving them a few $100s at their wedding is gonna be more than their friends give them, and that's gonna save you money because you're probably gonna spend $2,000 or $3,000 on that destination wedding, just going there and getting the gift and doing all the stuff and getting the dress and getting the suit and all that. So it might be a better thing for your pocketbook, but also then you're not, I'm not saying it's not wasting your vacation days when you're not going to your friends' weddings, but when you have to think about that, like, it's one of those things you want to kind of consider, all right? But on the other hand, you could use those kind of destination weddings for a travel thing. So if you have a friend that's getting married in Cancun, maybe you do tack on some extra days so you can go see Chichen Itza when you're there, and you can go and do some snorkeling, so you can kind of add that together, because I gotta go to Mike's wedding anyway because he's my best friend, right? And so you can kind of use that to kind of help you give yourself more time of traveling when you already have to travel someplace else. And then I think there's also the mental side of it. And that is, if you are working full-time and you let your work become your life, you kind of forget about travel and getting out there and exploring things. And maybe it's you traveling, for me, that's my hobby, or maybe you have a different hobby. And that's one of those things, you want to keep the mental idea that traveling is important to me. I want to make sure I have time to travel. I want to make sure I can go travel. And maybe it's not this year, maybe it's, you know what, I want to save up my PTO so that I can go take a month-long trip to Switzerland, or go, 3 months in Southeast Asia. Or maybe what you do is you talk to your company and see if they have sabbaticals where you can go for a month. You can take a month off. I know there's a lady I know, Chelsea, she actually took a month off of her job. I mean, they didn't pay her, but she got to take a month off, and she went to travel, and then she came back to work. So you can see those kind of like sabbatical kind of trips out there that helps you, get your travel bug in, and then you can go back to work again for a while. But honestly, as long as you have that travel mentality in your head, it's gonna make it easier for you to travel when you are busy with work, because you're kind of planning your travels while you're working, and that kind of helps make staring at a computer screen a little bit easier, when you know that, oh yes, that screensaver that's on there, I'm gonna be there in 3 months or 2 years or whatever, all right? So I hope this helps you know some ideas of how you can maybe keep traveling when you're working, so you can keep enjoying this beautiful world while you still have your pension, your retirement plan, your insurance, and your normal salary, all right? So have a great time, and I'll say bye from here in Liverpool.